Story 2. My trip to the slaughter yard. A story my mom wouldn't tell me until my 30s. So, let me start out by saying I enjoy writing, so this will be long. It is nonfiction though, but will hopefully be an interesting read. I also admit that I have absolutely no memory of this experience. I was a little over 2 years old and just started to walk on my own when this event took place. My mom only told me this story around 3 years ago when I was 32 and about to get married. My mother was raised in a very tiny fundamentalist Christian community and had no belief in the paranormal. She believed that our souls sleep until Judgment Day or something like this. Ergo, there was no ghosts or spirits to haunt this house. Even over 30 years later, she still sounded terrified as she told me this. This woman, who always talks way too loud, was literally whispering by the end of it, and she was white as a sheet. I believed her completely and still do. My mom never talks about stuff like this. I'm just glad I can remember it too. In 1988, my parents had their second child. This was my brother, Victor. We were very crowded in our rented flat with 2 babies. My parents decided to move to a rambling old 2-story farmhouse on a 7-acre plot in southern Ohio for more room for the family. It was way out in the sticks and took almost an hour to get to town from there. My dad said the first time I saw the house, I freaked out. I was crying and saying things like, "Don't like mean house, ugly house, don't like, scary house, mama, don't like." My mom said this behavior was very out of character for me, but I stopped complaining about the house after a few weeks, so she chalked it up to the stress of the move. Now, this house was a ramshackle and in the middle of nowhere. The kitchen was to the far rear end of the house until recently before we moved in, still had a working ancient wood-burning stove against the back wall. This had caught the back wall on fire a couple of months before we moved in and caused a lot of damage. A lot of this damage wasn't fixed, so my young, broke parents got a very cheap rent agreement. Gotta love the 80s. On the second floor, directly above the kitchen, was a locked room. The landlord claimed it had heavy fire damage, but her son, who had done the repairs, claimed the only fire damage left was in the kitchen, since it had been the worst and beyond his skill level to fix. Either way, the landlord was adamant that the room was off limits, and my parents always respected that. I would have looked 100%. I know all of this because I heard stories about this crappy farmhouse with the creepy door my whole life, and there were pictures of us in and around the farmhouse. The locked door was right next to the upstairs landing, so there was no avoiding it, and both my parents have told me it gave them the creeps. A few months after we moved in, my mother and I were in the yard with our pit Doberman mix, Boss. She was hanging laundry, and I was rolling around with the dog. She said that just as she noticed that everything was way too silent, Boss started going apeshit from surprisingly far away. About 500 yards from the house on the left, there was a small duck pond. Boss was in between the two, running towards my mom, then turning and running back towards the pond, barking frantically the whole time. My mom saw something thrashing around in the middle of the pond. She took off towards the water at full speed. Boss beat her there and drug me out of the water himself. Although my mom was confused how I got so far so fast and how I got into the center of the pond since it was over my head and I couldn't swim, she figured she underestimated me and brought in the baby gates and playpens. I was to be contained from now on. A few weeks later, she was cooking downstairs, Boss was outside, Victor asleep in his crib, and I was in my playpen in my room upstairs. I also had a gate on my door and one at the top of the stairs. The stairs ran up from the side of the kitchen, so my mom said she could listen for us crying or fussing while cooking. My mom said no longer than 15 minutes after the last time she looked in on us, Boss starts going crazy again in the yard. She runs up to check on us. Victor's still sleeping, every baby gate is still shut and locked, but I'm not in my room. A frenzied search reveals I'm not in the house at all. A sudden image of Boss saving me from drowning causes my mom to rush outside to see what he's trying to tell her this time. She said he was running in circles in the yard, barking uncontrollably. When she got outside, he took off towards the right, away from the pond. He would run ahead, turn around, and bark at my mother, wait for her to catch up a little before racing off again. He ended up leading her almost 1.5 miles out onto a dirt road that separated our property from the neighbors. He led her to a thick stand of trees on our neighbor's side of a rocky drive. She said what hit her first was a foul stench of advanced decay. She plowed into the trees with her heart in her throat and her stomach full of ice. She said she had noticed many piles of corrugated tin, tarps, tires, and other debris. The miasma was emanating most strongly from these junkyard cairns. Peeking under the sheet of tin, she noticed the extremely decomposed corpse of a butchered cow. As she headed deeper into the thicket, there was tree cover that was a lot denser. She said less care was taken to cover the remains. Grisly pieces of bones and rotted chunks of bovine littered the area. Apparently our neighbor, in an effort to cheat his taxes, had been illegally slaughtering cattle and hiding the remains in at least one of the few thick stands around the trees. She found me in the dead center of this thicket, just standing there, looking around. I was confused, surrounded by carnage. She said I didn't seem scared or anything, just standing. She rushed over to me after ascertaining I wasn't injured, began questioning me on why I was there, how I got there, etc. Keep in mind that while I started speaking very young, I still didn't have much vocabulary. She said I told her, with that serious look only small children can give, that the children brought me here. Shitting her pants at the thought that anyone, even children, could walk right past her through the kitchen, get me from upstairs, and walk right back past her on the way down the stairs and out with me, she demanded to know what children and where the hell they were now. I looked at her dead serious and told her the ones that live with us in the room at the top of the stairs and that I didn't see them anymore. After a moment of stunned silence, she started asking all kinds of questions about these children. However, she told me I refused to say anything else. She said as long as she questioned me about what happened, I would just stand there staring at her with a serious expression and my mouth closed. She said this same pattern held true every other time she brought it up to me. She was always left wondering and immediately began hounding my dad about moving closer to town. While the incident with me getting to the pond was highly unlikely, it was at least remotely possible. My mother was adamant that me being in the hidden slaughter yard that day was flat out impossible. She said there's no way I could have even known it was out there, much less have the ability to open and relock the baby gates, get downstairs, past her, and end up almost 2 miles down the road in this place in under 15 minutes. I was only 2 and as slow and clumsy as most toddlers. As I said, she's still shaken by it after 30 years. Personally, I have no idea what happened that day. I've thought about hypnosis but haven't decided I really want to remember. Maybe it's better to let it be a mystery because whatever those things were, I really don't think they were children.
Definitely not children. I would say, okay, so I worked at a preschool with 2.5 to 3-year-olds. I would give them a little more credit. They're not as, like, clumsy and slow as a baby would be.
Yeah.
They can move quick.
Yeah.
And they're smart and they know how to figure out things, then they know how to get over things. That being said, definitely not enough time for you to walk 2 miles, no matter how fast your little legs were moving.
Yeah.
But 2-year-olds aren't as dumb as that. It's like, oh, dumb baby can't do anything. Yeah. It's like, no, they're agents of mischief who are actively trying to cause it at every corner.
Yeah. So. I would, like, climb out of my playpen and crib all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, moving 2 miles into a thicket in a forest.
Yeah.
No, no way.
Ain't no way, ain't no way. How.
But I do want to know. See, this leads a question of things that we don't know. How get there? How get there? Is it just like, pop? Like, you know? Is there kids somewhere else immediately? Yeah. Is that how it is?
If we're keeping this, like, grounded in reality.
Okay.
This is not the nicest thought.
Oh.
But what if they were kidnapped and dropped off somewhere? And it's not paranormal?
Yeah.
The water could have been, like, a fluke that happened close to when this happened, but...
Yeah, the water is definitely plausible that the kid just, like, ran into
it. And if there's, like, a little bit of circulation, it's not going to take much to float you out, depending on how long you were there.
Yeah. Although, if we are thinking that it's just, like, you know, then it could have just, like... Yeah, literally just, like a... like when you grab the customers in like Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff. And they're just like...
Literally that.
And you, like, pick them up.
How do you live in Zoo Tycoon?
Dude, honestly, I would love to be an NPC in Zoo Tycoon or Roller Coaster Tycoon.
I would not. I know what I did to those people.
Oh, yeah, you would just, like, build a cliff and then just, like, have it end. You go to a sidewalk and then you delete it.
See, I would just be like, no bathrooms and trash cans. And I thought that was crazy.
Oh.
I have since seen what other people have done. I was like, huh.
Yeah, you, like, make the roller coasters that are, like...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved playing that.
I still play it. I've started playing I haven't started. I beat Planet Coaster. But, but they came out with a Planet Coaster 2 that I really wanted, but the reviews are really bad, so I was like, I'm not going to get it. But anyway, this would be terrifying as a mother. Again, I go back to The Conjuring.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this makes me think of, is The Conjuring. Old-ass house. Ohio's not really, like... the Northeast, but it's close enough, I feel like, because, like, Ohio and Pennsylvania are really, like, literally right next to each other. Mm-hmm. So, I feel like it would make sense. I don't know. But, nonetheless, it is so terrifying. I could not imagine wandering around and being like, where is my daughter? And then you walk into a giant forest area where there's just, like, dead cow carcasses everywhere.
Yeah. Shout out to your dog, Boss.
Yeah.
Great dog. Great name for a dog that saves you.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah. Go, Boss, go.
Amazing dog.
Amazing little guy. What a good guy. Give it up for Boss. I'm glad the dog didn't die.
Yeah.
Because that always happens in these kinds of stories.
It does, yeah. Well, I mean, it was the 80s, so eventually... Wild. I want to know more about that room, too.
Yeah, I want to... Yeah, what was in that room?
Who was in that room? What's in that room?
Yeah.
I would have invited a bunch of people over and then looked. I wouldn't have looked by myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm a weenie.
There's, like, that Airbnb that Quentin and I stayed in when we went to Albuquerque. When we went to Albuquerque last year. And it had all of those, like, weird little doors. And there was, like... a door in the ceiling and a door in, like, on the floor. Mm-hmm. And I was like, where do all these go?
I hate a floor door. When I lived at my cousin's house, she has a house that was built in, like, 1890, and it has a little floor door cellar. Mm-hmm. And that's where her sprinkler hoses are, and she was gone at one point. And her boyfriend was trying to make sure everything was turned off. He's like... hey, would you mind just, like, standing right by this floor door just in case it slams shut? Because I don't want to go down there.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yep, I got you, buddy. I'm gonna stay right here.
Oh, yeah.
And then if it closes, I'll call somebody.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Okay. Things we don't understand and we will never understand. Why do some ghosts have full reign over the entire house? Mm-hmm. And why do some ghosts only have full reign over one room, like phasmophobia?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I wonder if there's any ghosts listening, let us know. I wonder if... do you think residual hauntings take over just that area, or could that take up the whole house? Because I wonder if it's like a different type of haunting that would be just one specific spot versus...
I don't know, because that's the thing is that this is where we get into boundaries. Why are there boundaries in some ghosts? Like, okay, take the Lizzie Borden house, for example. The Lizzie Borden house is a perfect example of this. Downstairs, you have one ghost that's in the front room. You have another ghost that's in the back room. And then you go upstairs and you have one ghost that's in one bedroom. Yeah. And another ghost that's in the other bedroom. And it's like, why do they all have that? They can't go anywhere else. That's their room.
You know what I think it is? They've been roommates for so long that they are sick of it. So they've taken ghost chalk and drawn lines and boundaries and like, you can't cross that.
This is you cannot come over here. But see, that would get so boring.
Yeah.
After so long, you're stuck. If I was stuck in this basement.
If I was stuck in the stairs, just in the stairwell.
Oh, in the stairwell, you're like, can I count the stair? 99 bottles of beer on the wall. 99
I wonder if they like pull straws and switch every 50 years.
They get up to like 12,700,500 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's why I think that happens.
Interesting. Yeah.
Based
I don't
on
know.
no science.
That's so weird. Some ghosts haunt cars, some ghosts haunt whole houses, some ghosts haunt rooms, some ghosts haunt parks.
Yeah.
What is the science behind it, you guys? Nobody knows. As Zach Baggins said, there are things in this world that we will never fully understand. Understand.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That was wild. I don't know what that
crazy.
was.
That's crazy. Next story.
If you enjoyed that little story, be sure to watch the full episode here.
And make sure you like, subscribe, and all that jazzy.
Jazzy? I see what you did there. Wait, what was that?